For hospital corpsmen like Robert Bush, their role was on the island of Okinawa, while the Navy's real battle took place at sea. Kamikaze was not a new weapon. American sailors had first seen Japanese suicide planes during the Leyte campaign in the Philippines 6 months before, when fanatical pilots began crashing their fuel and bomb-laden planes into American ships. Dr. Walter Burrell, assigned to the escort carrier USS Suwannee, witnessed the horror of one of the very first attacks.
I heard all of our anti-aircraft fire going on, and some other explosions, I think, from some of the other guns. I thought I was dreaming, that it was another bad dream. And the next thing I knew was another large explosion that woke me up. When I came to, I realized I was in the dark. I was able to find my way out of the compartment back into the adjoining sick bay. The casualties there were extremely severe burns, so bad that you could not even recognize your closest friends. I remember pulling one man out of an officer's stateroom and thinking that he was a friend of mine, a pilot. I spoke to him and called him by his nickname, Frog. The crewman said, "I'm not Frog. I'm just an old enlisted man."
The physical and psychological trauma Dr. Burrell experienced at Leyte became routine during the Battle of Okinawa, as swarms of kamikazes plunged from the skies, killing and maiming thousands of American sailors, making it the costliest battle for the Navy in World War II. Hospital corpsman Stephen Cromwell, a veteran of the Normandy invasion and now a crewman aboard the battleship USS Missouri, also witnessed a suicide attack close up.
This one kamikaze plane got through our perimeter, and this was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it headed for the Missouri. It came in about 6 or 8 feet above the water. We were firing at it with everything we had on the fantail, but it hit the main deck of the ship about 100 feet from my battle station behind this 40mm mount. The pilot, or the upper half of the pilot, was thrown out of the plane, and his body landed about 30 feet from my battle station. The left wing of the plane came off and ended up on the first deck, started a fire, but they rather quickly got that under control, got that put out. The plane itself, with a 500-pound bomb, went into the water and did not explode. And we asked him if we should throw this body over the side, because it was kind of a mess. And we were told no. When we secure from general quarters, you take the remains of the kamikaze pilot down to the sick bay, and tomorrow we will have a Christian burial for him. They played taps. The Marines fired 1 round, and we put his body over the side.
Not all kamikaze attacks turned out so well for the defenders. 17-year-old pharmacist mate Alfred Samuels helped man a small patrol vessel designed to rescue men whose ships had been hit or sunk by suicide planes. The crew of the 184-foot-long ship included 9 corpsmen and 1 physician. For the young Samuels, PCER 842 resembled a floating coffin.
The sick bay was directly off of the fantail. You walk in and it had pipes from the deck to the ceiling to the overhead, and attached to those pipes were bunks, 3 high. They were chained up against the wall. During action, we'd let those bunks down to accommodate this wounded.
As the battle for Okinawa ground on during the spring and early summer of 1945, crewmen aboard the many destroyers and other vessels on the picket line offshore endured the constant threat of kamikaze attack. Frayed nerves were routine, and sound sleep became a forgotten luxury as suicide pilots, determined to die, tried to kill men determined to live.
I was standing on the fantail one day. It was a quiet period. I looked up. Suddenly a plane came out of a cloud, and I looked up. I said, "It's a Jap." It snuck in. Nobody realized it was a Jap. I looked up, and about that time, he tilted over and headed diving straight for us. I found myself backing up. But about halfway through his dive, the ships in the harbor realized what he was, and they opened up. And about halfway through his dive, black smoke started coming out of him, and it hit him, so he veered off over the island. I don't know what happened to him.
The aftermath of a successful kamikaze attack on any number of nearby ships provided much bloody business for Corpsman Samuels and his fellow medical staff.
When you stepped over the combing, you knew what you were stepping into. It was a mixture of water and blood swishing back and forth. Your shoes were immediately soaked with it. When they closed the door, there was a guy laying on the table against the bulkhead. And every time his heart beat, blood would shoot across the room.
Our experience in Okinawa had to do entirely with casualties from kamikaze. And we had a full capacity, something like 300, on 2 different trips from Okinawa back to Guam, where they were transferred to the Naval Hospital that was reopened in Guam. Our equipment for handling casualties was really pretty primitive. For example, there was no capacity to do any neurosurgery on board ship, no capacity to do any thoracic surgery except aspirating pneumothoraces. Casualty treatment under those circumstances at that time consisted of stabilizing patients, treating shock,